Hello and welcome to PlayStation Unchained. I am your host, Neil Bolt, and we are here to talk about all things PlayStation and other stuff, probably about penises, it seems, from the chat beforehand. I am joined as ever by the chillest one of all, that is Ben-Shillabeer-Hall.
I will not cock this up.
What did you just say? What did you seriously just say? Just before we joined in.
Look, Tim, there's no need to be testy.
I could double up on
Tim, you're being a bit ballsy.
Womp.
Anyway, as I'm also joined by Mr. Tim Nunes. That's all I had this week.
I'm really sad because that's like what you have this week for like the last 5 weeks.
I know. I get the week's such a blur. I get to Sunday, it's like the kids are being kids, and you sit down, you're like, I haven't made any preparations beyond what I already thought about last week, and that's it. I promise, if it ever comes the day I have to do a final one of these podcasts, I will make sure it's the best one ever, Tim. I have the best use of your name.
Because I feel like offhand, I could even just say like Nunes kids on the block.
You see, I can't say it now. You've done it.
Tim Nudies.
What I must say is I just have no noon ones to give. That's it.
Nanny?
Nice. Well, now you don't because you've used the one.
And joining us for the first time, hopefully not the last time. We're not putting the best sort of start here, but it is Mark Kriska. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. No, not a problem. Hey, as is tradition, when people have not been on here before, why don't you tell us a little about yourself in relation to PlayStation gaming, I suppose, and general stuff too. You can tell us about you. That's fine.
Well, see, I was born 28 years ago, and no, I'm just kidding. I have always been a PlayStation gamer. That's how I met Tim here. Tim and I are pretty good friends outside of talking and writing and generally everything about video games. So, hashtag. But yeah, I've been a PlayStation gamer my whole life. It is my number one system of all time. So much so that I have a tattoo of PlayStation on me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I want to say I regret it, but I don't. So, but yeah, I also write for a website, Mammoth Gamers. That's how I kind of got into the whole industry thing. But other than that, most of my time is just spent playing video games, and that's all I really do. Tim and I met on PS3 back on Uncharted 2, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uncharted 2.
Wow.
And that when Uncharted 2 was still a new game, so it's been a really long time. But I love PlayStation, and everything about PlayStation, and what you guys do over here at PlayStation Universe is amazing. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. If it's PlayStation, I love it.
Splendid. Good to hear. Yeah, I've got to say, I think that's pretty much described me for most of my life, apart from that, my teenage and childhood romance with Sega. But yeah, it's which ended bitterly.
As a child, I grew up loving my Sega.
See, I didn't get into gaming until like N64, PS1, and I actually asked for an N64. I was like 7 years. Yeah, I was like 7 years old. And it's funny. Tim said he loves the story. It's because it is the most like poetic, like reincarnation story I've ever experienced in my entire life. Because I asked for an N64 for Christmas. My next door neighbor had one, and I wanted it for GoldenEye. And
it's the best game ever.
Yeah, and I'm an only, and I'm an only child, so like I usually could. I don't want to say I like knew that I was going to get this thing, but like I I had a really strong suspicion I was going to get an N64 because that's all I really wanted that year. I pretty much cornered my parents into it. And I remember running downstairs, seeing the big box, waiting till the end, opening it up last, and it being a PlayStation. And I remember vividly turning to my parents and being like, I really appreciate this. I'm really sorry for being like this, but this isn't what I wanted. Like, I don't want, like, I remember being so scared and so like afraid of being sounding like a spoiled brat that I was like, I don't think you guys understand that I needed this specific thing. And my mom, I remember her saying, we'll plug it in. We'll see if you like it. If you don't like it, we'll take it back to the store. The guy at the store said this system's better than an N64. And I was like, all right, fine, whatever. And then she got me 2 games, Batman, the arcade game, and Crash Bandicoot. I had no idea what the hell Crash Bandicoot was. So obviously I popped Batman in, and it's just this side scroller beat 'em up game. And I was like, okay, this is all right. This isn't GoldenEye. Then I put Crash Bandicoot in, and literally ever since that moment, I've been a PlayStation kid. Never took the system back, never played anything else, only cared about PlayStation. I started having console wars with my friends in elementary school because he would bring in his look how cool Star Fox is. And I'm like, screw you, look at Twisted Metal. And like ever since then, that's who I was. And then I got a job at a retailer over in America called Target. And I worked in electronics, talking parents out of Xbox 360s and into PlayStation 3s. And I remember vividly one moment being like, I was explaining this to a guest, and I was like, the kid might not be very happy when they open it up, but assure them this is the better console, and if you don't like it, you can bring it back. And then it just hit me. I was like, holy shit, I just became that salesman.
Yeah.
That made me.
He taught.
So.
That's amazing. That.
That's my PlayStation story. And like, I just hope that there's just one kid out there that I created, and then when the PlayStation 28 is out, they're working at a retailer doing the same thing and I'm like, the cycle continues.
That PlayStation 28, either you're a cynic and you think that Sony's just going to make a console every year for the next 28 years, or this person is going to be old as piss. Holy shit.
Well, you know, listen, we're really close to immortality, so. And plus, you know, they might do it by Microsoft, you know?
Yeah, they might just skip numbers.
Yeah, they might go, PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, PS6 sounds a little too, I don't know. Let's go to 28.
Yeah, because that's worked out really well so far for Xbox.
But if I could just change one kid's life, then my life has meaning.
Oh snap!
That's how I drop some, like, you know, profound knowledge.
You were a key instrument in the turning of the tide in last generation.
It's true.
Without you, PS3 would have lost.
And PlayStation 4 wouldn't have had such a strong start. It had nothing to do with Xbox dropping the ball. No. It was all me.
Xbox dropped the ball because of you.
Ooh, they didn't know how to attack this local kid.
Yeah.
Doing like this nobody that like.
They tried to target him to win him over and forgot there's every other person in the universe.
Yeah.
And I remember they were going to get you on stage, obviously, when the PS4 was revealed, and they were like, nah, he hasn't got the pulling power, so we'll get a different Mark in. So they got Mark Cerny in, and said and they just told the whole same story and said it was him. You know, he quit the console game while decided he'd work at Target, selling the PS3 to everyone he could. And it made him understand how to make the perfect PS4, and the rest is history. So sad that you were cheated out. Sad that you were cheated out of such a legacy.
They just thought that
ironically,
Cerny was like the translated version of your second name.
I like it though, but at the same time, like, I know my story, and now everybody who listens to this podcast knows my story. So slowly, I'm leaking the real story, and eventually, I will have the glory.
You got a leak, nice.
Yeah.
Just be careful. If you find you can't play Crash Bandicoot anymore, you'll know Cerny's listening.
No, now you can play it everywhere, and it hurts my heart.
Yeah. It's just like, keep it up, Mark. We'll start putting it on Apple phones and everything.
It's the new Skyrim.
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot.
Oh my god!
I
Imagine
didn't
Crash
laugh at it.
Bandicoot if it goes to Amazon Echo. Spin,
Ew.
spin, spin, spin. Walk forward.
Damn it!
Wampa fruit. Pick it up.
Jump,
Stop dying.
jump, jump. Dark Souls of gaming. Spin.
Oh, can you imagine having to play the Mile High level with Alexa?
I mean,
Jump
it'd be like,
forward, not that far forward. Back, don't. Not
Jump
that,
a
no,
little
no,
bit,
jump
but not
a little
that
bit,
forward.
jump. Now a long jump. Do a really long jump. No, not that long. The platform's about to break. Do something.
I
Oh
wonder
my
what
God,
other
that'd be
games
awful.
would be weird, like Ninja Gaiden.
All of them.
Block, 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 block. Parry, block, block.
Then there's
Stop dying.
Stop.
Man not recognized.
Jump, jump. No, don't jump like that. Jump like this.
Other games would be a lot of fun though. Just like Batman. Counter. Okay, I won.
Well, I guess you could play Assassin's Creed 1 that way.
Oh,
Counter,
definitely.
counter.
Yeah, literally every Assassin's Creed up until Origins.
But screw that. Alexa needs to, like... It says saying counter, you've just got to say, like, comic book phrases that pop up. Pow!
Boom.
Pow! Boom! Pow! Splat! Boom! Kapow!
Bojangles.
I'm still pissed that no
I like-
Batman game ever had that as a DLC. I would
Okay,
actually play through the game if I could play through Arkham Knight with all those popping up as you playing it.
only if it had the music.
Yeah, it's got to have
Only-
the music as well. That's why it's DLC, you have to copyrighted.
Well, yeah. Well, it just plays the music. There is no sound effects except for like
Yeah.
instead of
it's-
like punching sounds, it makes it like boom,
Yeah.
like those noises
And it has
as well.
those swells pop up, the big, like, brutish colours, like, pow, on, like, yellow background.
That would have been such a good idea with when they had
Yeah.
released the Adam West DLC. Like
Yeah.
that stuff only happens whenever you're running around as Adam West Batman.
And all the musical used to be exactly the same as the TV show. It would be brilliant. Oh, fuck yeah, I'd love it. Burgess Meredith as the Penguin again would just be brilliant.
It would be great.
But those are DLC that people would want.
But it's not the DLC they need right now.
Oh, brought it around. I like it.
I win.
Very good. Applause. Yeah, I mean, if they can put fucking Leatherface in Mortal Kombat, then surely they can do that. So, yeah. Well, anyway, we were talking about something, I'm sure, around there. Yeah, anyway, welcome, Mark. I think that was what we were getting to. Somewhere in there. That's yeah, we're here to talk about the usual stuff, as you probably gathered, which is PlayStation. It wasn't really a hugely newsworthy week, if I remember. No, was it more whinging about crossplay? Yeah, probably. Yeah. There was a lot of that. And beyond that, it was a pretty meh week. I went to Paris this week, which was nice.
Oh, how was it?
It was nice. I went to play Warface,
Oh,
which is Crytek's free-to-play shooter. And that was all right. Yeah.
did it have both faces and some war in it?
It had lots of men with faces ready for war.
Oh my god!
guarantee.
At least it didn't lie.
I mean, what I'd say is probably good about it is that it's a very solid version of everything. You know, it's a Call of Duty style shooter, it's a Destiny style raid game, and it's got a battle royale mode. So it's covering all the bases on that front. My main concern will be if they copy what happened on PC, where it's a bit pay to win in later senses. So, but other than that, pretty solid. If it's a free
Nice.
game, I think it could do well. And CryEngine running well in beta on a normal PS4 was shocking to see.
Well, chances are, it probably works fine in beta, but then breaks as soon as it's released.
Wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me at all.
And carry the one dead.
Carry the one. Yeah, so yeah, it's been a rather quiet week as June ends and we get further away from all the exciting buzz of E3, and now we wait for the next whole.
It's dead.
The ramp
Yes,
up
it's
to the Paris
dead.
Games Week.
Yeah. Because old Paris Games doing Gamescom, of course, in Germany, and yeah, and then actual games will come out at some point too. Again, it's,
Like Spider-Man.
like Spider-Man, like the Spider-Man and the Cowboys and the other things. They will all come out in time, and they will be. Well, some of them will be good. We'll see which ones in time. But we actually had a topic this week, which whenever we do have a topic, we always seem to make sure that we take as long as possible to get into the meat of the show. So we're doing well in that sense. This week's topic is provided by none other than Timothy himself. So, sorry, not Timothy himself, Timothy Nunes. Tim.
Timothy himself is my father.
Please. So they call my dad.
There you go.
I call some other stuff.
I got something out of your name this week. There you go. After all.
Something out of my name.
Yes.
Yes.
Regale us with...
Regale. I can gale. I'll regale.
Regale.
Don't call me Gale. Well, it kind of came about because I've been venturing into Wolfenstein, the new PlayStation games. Not PlayStation, but the new games. I've never really been into Wolfenstein. It's always been a presence, because gaming. But
yeah.
I never really delved too much into it, and I just started 2 weeks ago, I think, and it's been kind of surprising in a very tongue-in-cheek sort of way, but also in a very political way too. It's very interesting in that and how it has this sort of dichotomy. So this ultimately came about this thought that I was looking for a game that profoundly surprised you, and the phrasing I used in our Slack conversation is not wow, this isn't half bad, but shit, what have I been doing with my life? And yeah, I have a few games definitely in that genre, but this all came about because of Wolfenstein.
Oh, and just as we talk about it, good timing. Garri is about to join us. Would you believe? So let's get Garri in on the call. And then we could confuse him by telling him something completely different. There you
go. A man with 3 buttocks.
No, Neil.
That image is
penis away.
Oh, quick! Garri's here. Turn the Skype video.
Yeah, we gotta call this DM so we can slip right in.
Oh,
that's my natural thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. Show me proof. Screenshots.
You felt it last night, Tim.
I did.
Wow, you have slipped straight into the tone of the show.
I had crocodile tears.
That's the tone every day of the show.
So you joined us at just the right point because we were just about to go into the topic, would you believe? Which
nice.
Which of course Tim has explained that now, so you'll have to imagine what we said and just go with the flow.
Yeah, I was hoping that's what you were going to say.
You just gotta guess it.
Life.
You get to go first.
That's how I go through most of my days.
What, going first?
16 pumps, man.
Oh, Mark, I gotta fill you in on that run.
Oh my!
I'll do that later.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
He has
two married in here. Yeah, it's you wouldn't think it, would you? Oh, Christ. Yeah. So sorry. Just give Garri a tiny mini recap and just by saying what it was about Wolfenstein particularly felt like it did.
Wolfenstein was kind of surprising, and I figured, why don't we talk about games that surprised us, but not in that sort of hey, this is interesting, but more in the holy crap, where have I been all my life sort of way. Summaries.
Yeah. I suppose kind of like a game that affects you in a way that beyond the game in that regard.
Oh, yeah.
You walk away and you take it with you.
Of course.
Some way or another. It doesn't have to be
Does
anything.
it have to be one game, or can we talk about multiple games?
I feel like complicated people.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Maybe not Garri, but we're complicated people. Well, Garri, if you're saying something like that, I feel like you have enough information to lead us into this topic.
I do.
What you got?
I feel like there's one game that's going to be on a lot of people's lists. I'm interested to see if it is.
Oh,
Use your suit, Larry.
Oh, jeez. No, well, for me, obviously, the number one game that did that to me was Nier Automata.
Yes.
I went into that game with zero expectations. I got to review that game just because the person who was supposed to review it was no longer with the site, so I kind of just inherited it. And I finished the game and I was like, oh, okay, it's good, it's not great. And then I started a second playthrough, and the second playthrough was different. I played with a different character, and I was like, oh shit, this is completely different, and it was even better the second time around. And then came the third one, and then I was like, holy shit, the third playthrough just changes everything. And that game did so much mentally and thoughtfully for me. Just so much thought-provoking stuff, and it's all in the small details that they went into. There's a little side quest with these like suicidal robots, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? Why are these robots thinking about suicide? And they're going into this deep thought, and it's like, they're machines, they're not supposed to think this way. And it's one of those games where it just, to me, it left this insane lasting impression of life and what it is. And we gave machines life, and what's going to stop them from creating their own society, their own religion, their own politics. And essentially this is what this game did. I mean, we saw the machines start their own religion. We saw them like I said, have thoughts of suicide. Like, what's the point of living as a machine? They started their own society, and it just did so much crazy. And the big thing for me was actually the end credits of it all, where you're flying around in a ship like Ikaruga style, and you're destroying the credits and the people who made the game. And like, I know a lot of people took that as one thing. I took it as, I'm rebelling against my gods, and this is me destroying the chains they have on me, and I'm creating free will for myself. And yeah, like, to me, that game just did so much, and it went from a solid maybe 6 to obviously what I rated at 9.5. And it's one of the greatest games, in my opinion, of this generation. So
I can totally appreciate that. And like, to go a little bit further on your speculation, I'd like to say that I did one step further than where you did, because I didn't really, and this is one of those games as well where I didn't really know anything, and you were playing it and you said, oh shit, this game is actually pretty sick. It's getting to this point, and you started talking a little bit about it. So I jumped on the bandwagon, just because it felt like there was to be a thing. But I honestly felt it was going to be another Bayonetta game, like like kind of fan servicey, but also engaging, things like that. I wasn't expecting it to be Nier Automata, and all these things led up to the end, and it wasn't just about you finding yourself as an identity, but it was also about you bringing up your group, like not just your group but your population. Like, you have the ability not only to help yourself and think for yourself, but help and think for the benefit of others. And after the credits, there's a point where it says that you can offer to help people at the end, like, because when the ending sequence, you have people that come in and help you kill off the cast, I guess, the credits.
mm-hmm.
And it said, well, you can do this too. Like, these people came and help you, and you can do the same. But there's a cost. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what's this? What can I do? I said, well, it's going to be the cost of your save. I'm like, wait a second. Really? Like, this can't be really a thing. When I went, okay, sure. And they said, oh, hang on a second. Before you do this, you need to know that there's no going back. Once you offer up your help, you're done. Like, you won't have your save anymore. Are you sure you want to do this? And like, there's no way they're going to take the save from me. There's no way they're going to delete
Metal
it.
Gear.
like there's no way they're going to delete. I already got through this fish and mail thing, and that ended up being a thing. Like, it ended up not being a real thing. Like, they let me keep playing. Like, no, this can't be a thing. And then just, no, hang on. Like, seriously, we're super serious about this. You really want to do this? Yeah. And I really started to second guess now. I'm like, yes. And they asked a couple more times. Like, they really wanted you to be sure that you knew what you were doing. And I finally got to that point, like the last one, where I went, I really thought about it. It wasn't just about, I was committing something already and I'd already said it, but I was also thinking, like, what am I doing? Like, what am I trying to do with this? Like, am I extending myself? I'm basically absolving myself of my identity so someone else can carry on. Mm-hmm. And I said yes, and I lost all of my stuff, and I watched everything. It went from menu to menu, screen to screen. All the items that I had, all of my progress was one by one deleted. And I was caught in a limbo between pure disappointment and this high-end euphoria. And it was the most peculiar feeling I'd ever had. Like, I came out of a game especially. I'm thinking, like, I basically castrated myself from playing this game again. But at the same time, I enabled another person to go farther than they've ever gone.
Yeah.
I'll never see it. They'll never know it was me. But I helped somebody. Like, I aided somebody at my own expense. And it felt like the closest I could ever be to altruistic in a game. That shit is just stuck with me. Like, on top of everything else that game did. Like, that's the one piece of it that really just stuck with me the whole time.
It's kind of like, if you look at it, it's like a self-sacrifice, pretty much. Yeah. You're giving up your life for somebody else to survive.
Now, can I be a complete dick?
Yes.
Back to penis jokes.
Just now or in general?
Could you download the save from PS Plus?
Yes. So, like, you can. If you had backed it up, you would have been totally fine, but I had no foresight on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you could. It's just a small, like I said, the small details of that game just add so much context. And, yeah, like, to me, like I said, that game, it essentially shows you that no matter if humanity's alive or machines, like, you can tell that, yeah, okay, we built the machines, right? The androids or the aliens came and they summoned, like, the robots to destroy the humans. But then you also saw in that story where you find the crashed spaceship and the aliens are dead in there. And you realize that it doesn't really matter who's inheriting what. We are always doomed to repeat our history.
Yeah.
And whether it's mankind, whether it's machines who rebelled against the aliens, and then, the androids started to rebel against the machines, the cycle just repeats, and you just can't get away from it. And I think that was one of the big points that game tried to make, is it doesn't matter if it's humanity or, whatever species, like super intelligent species. I'm not talking about dogs and cats and stuff, but humankind like intelligence.
Those are real people. Dogs and cats are people, Garri.
Okay, well, dogs and cats don't pick up knives and stab each other for no reason.
They're equipped with knives. They're equipped with knives.
But you know what I'm saying. Like,
I do.
What fucking horror show of animals have you seen? It's like, you got fucking dogs and cats with just like no claws and just fucking mouths.
All the animals over here are like Beast Wars. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, don't lie to yourself. This isn't Australia.
Oh, God, that's right. There's only like 2 animals here that can kill me. Not all of them.
But yeah, they essentially follow in humanity's footsteps, and they try to destroy each other and destroy their creators, much as like we're doing now with religion. We're just trying to wipe it out, essentially. So yeah.
You see, we are the Walking Dead. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the big one. There are other games. I don't know if you want me to go into them. I can.
Well, we'll go around. What we'll do is we'll try and give everyone a chance to say something, just in case you step on anyone else's toes with a game. And we can talk about, if someone talks about a game that you want to talk about, then you can sort of pitch in with what you have
Yeah.
to say
Kind
on
of
it.
like what we just did. We cross streams.
Yeah, you cross the streams. Yes, dangerous, sweaty streams.
Oh,
This just got hotter.
Did you shake it 20 times afterward?
No.
yeah,
Just let it drip.
because after the third time,
I felt something.
Charlotte. Because
No, the way it is at the minute, the way I'm sweating, there's no chance I'd be shaking it out once it's bone dry at this point.
for anyone who doesn't know already, it's really muggy in England.
Yeah, but it's a dry
Kill
heat.
me.
Oh, gross.
Anyway, Mark, go for it.
Decision time, Mark.
So, Tim, you know how I said I was going to make a decision right before I was about to speak?
Yeah.
Here it is. And it's none of the games we talked about. Thank you, Garri, because while you were explaining how you felt during yours, I, for some reason, one, didn't think of this game when Tim sent me the question, and two, didn't really, like, I can't believe I forgot about it. And I also can't believe that, I don't know, I'm like reeling over just now remembering this game existed.
Garri's inspiration.
He definitely inspired me for this.
You're welcome.
The game-
That's what I do.
The game I'm choosing,
Yeah, you
and also
inspire something.
Tim, your first question that you sent me, it kind of like feeds into that one actually. Like it meets the question you sent me's requirements because I stumbled upon it, and it's Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't I already explained my gaming history, how I got into video games, but what I didn't explain is that I've never been a JRPG fan. I didn't know what JRPG really was all the way up until probably mid PS3 era, and that's when I found Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. I was literally just at a GameStop. I saw this cool looking sword on this box, and I was like, let's do this. I haven't played my PSP in a while. And I popped it in, and as I was playing it, my friend noticed that I was playing it, and it proceeded to explain to me how insane it was that I was playing it with no context. But after playing it, I now realized. But this game is by far the game that probably changed me most in my entire life. It's the only game I cried during, and by during I mean at the end of. It is the only game that taught me what, like, it didn't even the only game, but it's definitely the game that told me what story was in video games and all this stuff. But it also is the game that made me feel like I actually lost somebody at the end of. I was 100% connected to Zach. At first I didn't like him. He was just the super positive kid that I just found very annoying, but literally that melts away after like maybe 5 or 6 lines after you finally meet Angeal and you see that dynamic between the two. This kid just wants to be a hero and just wants to be just like Angeal. And then you meet Genesis and you meet Sephiroth and you see these like great heroes, these great soldiers, and then you slowly start seeing them all degrading, and you slowly start seeing the corruption that is everywhere in this like organization. But Zach never loses any of this. He always is positive. He always thinks that there's going to be a good outcome. And then you meet Cloud, and this is probably going to anger some people, but the only time I've ever liked Cloud is pre-Crisis Core. This almost exact same positive, always looking forward kid that wants to be this hero and sees Zach, and Zach is now the Angeal to him, and like all this like positivity just keeps building and building, and then you finally see at the end of the game, and I'm sorry for spoilers, but you see these 2 characters. One's completely broken with poisoning, and then which is Cloud, and then there's Zach, who like embodies the thing that he was hoping for from somebody else. He is the hero that saves pretty much everyone that was in this town, and also Cloud. He carries Cloud what for seemed like days across, going back to Shinra, trying to get him back to help him and like fix him. And at the end of the game, it is by far the most heartbreaking sequence I've ever played in a video game, where you're literally just fighting endless ads until you just stop fighting and die. And that cutscene hits, and I remember getting choked up, and I remember getting so like sad and so emotional. And then he talks about Aerith being scared of the sky, and then I just lost it. I couldn't handle it anymore. Then I remember being so like, I need to see what happens to Cloud. I need to know. And unfortunately, that game came out like 10 years before Crisis Core, so like none of this translates. And I start the game and I hate Cloud, and I'm like, you're not Zack. I'm like, I remember being so angry at Cloud for pretending he was Zack, and then I was like, screw this, and I watched the movie, and Cloud's just this like broken shell of what he used to be, because he knows that he's not Zack, but he also knows that Zack's gone and he wants to be like that. And then I was so angry, and then it wasn't until like I settled down and like looked at the whole thing as a whole and realized that like this is just Cloud mourning, but Cloud feels like I do. Zack is, in my opinion, the reason that this all happens. And you even see that in Advent Children whenever you see that like him and Aerith like in the church at the end of the movie, and like that's the kind of stuff that stuck with me. I nothing else love Zack more than anything else inside of Final Fantasy, and that game changed me as a game player, just because I now wanted that emotion out of every game. I wanted that hard-hitting like connection with all these characters, and I know that in Final Fantasy VII, the original, everyone got that whenever Aerith or Eris or however you say her name dies. But to me, whenever I was playing 7, I was like, you bitch, you're supposed to be Zack's girlfriend. Why are you with Cloud? Like, so like I was more like, good, you deserve to die whenever she finally died. But then again, after it all happened, I sat there and I thought, like, she even mentioned in 7, you remind me of somebody. And I'm like, holy crap, she's talking about Zack. Like, and that's, I'm so upset with myself for when Tim sent me this question, I should have immediately jumped to Crisis Core. It is by far one of my top favorite games, if not, like, it's definitely in the top 3, if not 2 or 1. But I don't think I'll ever have a game that emotionally hits me like that.
Yeah,
I envy you, man. I do. Because for me and so many others, we knew Zack's fate because we played 7 beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So when I jumped into Crisis Core, I knew the ending. I knew how it was going to end. Like, obviously, just with his death. That's really all I knew.
Yeah, so it was always that wall.
Yeah, seeing how it happened, just like you, it was super. I had some tears coming out too.
Yeah,
it was a very sad one because you are the one who gives up at the end because you honestly don't have a choice. But like they leave it up to you to give up. It's just like the scene in Metal Gear Solid 3 where you're the one who has to pull the trigger to kill the boss. It's not the game that does it. You have to do it.
Yeah, like I remember playing it. I remember like, when does this end? When do I stop killing these ads? And then I started thinking, I was like, I'm gonna have to give up. Like I, as Zack, as the character, need to be like, all right, I'm done. This is it. And like, it was. I wish that there was another game out there that could do that to me, but like those feelings like are so specific and so like tied to that character that it's not any other game's fault that they're not making me feel like this. But I know that I'm never gonna feel like that towards anything else.
Yeah, no, I totally get you, man. Like, yeah, that final scene at the end of that game was just absolutely heartbreaking.
It was.
No. But hey, on the note of Cloud, everybody liked Cloud up until Advent Children came out. And
Okay, good.
started hating it.
Don't pool everybody into that pool, Gary.
Oh, jeez.
I've hated Cloud since the beginning. Actually, part of the reason why I didn't play 7 when I could have. I just couldn't deal with Cloud. But what's really funny about Crisis Core is that I fell in love with the whole concept, everything, and that final moment, seeing what Cloud had done, it kind of gave me a little bit of empathy for for Cloud's emo side, and it's driven me to want to go back and play 7, but pedantically the graphics have been the reason. Yeah, pedantically the graphics have been the reason I haven't gone back. But I am very, very excited for what they want to do with the remake, because it feels like they're going to flesh out some things. Because I basically know the game, because nobody feigns away from spoilers in this industry. Because really, there's no point, because the game's a billion years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, like knowing what the game is, I'd like to see what kind of things they flesh out, what kind of things they explore, what kind of things they alter and change, and not having that nostalgic anchor to weigh me down going into that has me very excited.
I'm also hoping, whenever, I know it's not like this anymore, but when they first announced a episodic story, my first thought and what I hoped was going to happen was they were just going to incorporate Crisis Core story inside of this, and you're going to start off with Zack and then finish the game as Cloud. And I don't think that's what's going to happen, but if I don't get even a cutscene with Zack, my love for Zack is so strong that it's not the main reason, but it's a really strong reason why Birth by Sleep is my favorite Kingdom Hearts game.
So you're saying Birth by Sleep is Gary's favorite Mass Effect?
Wait,
yes.
So wait, oh, hold up. Sorry. Is Zack in
Birth by Sleep? He is. He's in. So you know how Cloud is in the Coliseum areas in the other Kingdom Hearts games, in the first Kingdom Hearts game at least.
Yeah.
It's since Birth by Sleep is prior to Kingdom Hearts, it's Zack instead.
Oh boy, spoiler alert. That makes me. To be fair though, it's not really I know I've said this before.
It's motivation.
Things, but it's not a spoiler if it gets you to the material.
Yeah, it's it's Zack, same voice actor, same everything. So I remember hitting the Coliseum and seeing Zack, and everything that was happening in Birth by Sleep is probably one of the best, if not my favorite, and the best Kingdom Hearts game. And I remember hitting there, and I was like, "Yes, I don't care what's happening. It's Zack."
Well, to lift your spirits, Square did say that Zack and Aerith are going to be a lot more heavily incorporated into the story of Remake. So.
Yes, I don't care what they do to that game. Then they have my seal of approval.
But this was before they changed to in-house development, so who knows what's happening now.
I think I was just more scared that Square Enix forgot that Zack was a character. So since they mentioned them so recently, then I'm good.
They better not get rid of the cross-dressing scene there. That was
no, they won't.
They
said that they're having it in there for sure.
That's good.
Yeah. Female Cloud.
That's my motivation right there.
But yeah, that was my gaming thing.
Very cool.
Very nice.
Then I suppose we move to Ben.
I really can't think of one for me, to be honest. I know that sounds heartless, but for me, I've never really had that sort of connection with the game, and I'm really,
what about
excuse
14?
me? Excuse me, Ben. Commander Cherry.
Commander what?
That's more of a physical connection.
It's a connection.
That's not an emotional connection. That's like a one-night stand connection.
Well, Ben, what about 14? I know you've spoken at length about that.
It has affected me a lot, and I do love the game, but as you can tell, I have talked a lot about it on all different casts, so that would be
but
my
still,
game.
that is the fact. Yeah, I mean, but look, everything you do
Yeah.
is affected by it, is it not? So it is
Yeah.
very profound to you in that respect.
Oh, it is, but at the
because
same time, I didn't want to.
It shaped a lot. It's why you're here now.
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of ways. So it's.
I would be crazy without it.
Profound. You'd be crazy without it.
Yeah.
God knows what. That's saying something.
The story of 14, and it's the community more than anything. I love the community. I love being part of it, and I love the fans of the game, and I enjoy participating in content on it. But yeah, it has affected me a lot. It's changed me as a person. I don't know. I'm not very good with this sort of thing. I've flown to America.
You've gone to other countries to meet people, and I mean that's a big impact for a game to have.
Oh yeah.
I mean, much as I love Tim, and we had this shared love of Metal Gear Solid 2, I'm not going to travel across the country just to talk about it. Mainly because it's a lot easier way of doing it, and it's not so costly.
I got to meet Garri because of
in
it.
the same room.
Yeah, exactly. Video chat, no problem.
Well, Ben never told you guys this, but he really, in reality, bought the ticket to come see me. So.
Yeah.
It's like,
Keep telling
Gary's
yourself
going
that,
to
darling.
FanFest? I've got to go now. But no, it was nice meeting Garri there. That was great. And it was nice meeting everyone there, really, to be honest. Klaus, Sayer. I still remember I was in the queue and I was chatting to someone, and then Flatus jumped me saying, "Oh my god, it's chilly." I'm like, what? All because he could. I was the only British person there.
You had some people hitting on you too because of your accent.
Yeah. That's a lie. Garri was there. He knows.
Yeah, he was one of them.
Yeah. I took you to dinner.
Yeah, he did.
Candle.
Ben, you tease.
And then I had that hooker hit on me on the way back. Did I tell me that, Garri? I can't remember.
Oh, you told me, yeah.
Yeah.
You messaged me and you told me.
I think you might have been on this very podcast before. At least twice.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, I love the game, but as much as it affected me personally, I'm just not great at talking about stuff like this.
Well, it's understandable.
Yeah.
I think I could say the same about certain games. I could explain some of the reasons why a game might be profound or have an effect, but some of it just hits a little too close to stuff you don't really want to discuss. Yeah, as well. Which that's which I suppose brings me to the most obvious one I had to think of, which was of course What Remains of Edith Finch.
I thought you were going to say XCOM for a second, and I was going to facepalm.
Mate, you are so lucky. You are so lucky because before we even got this far, my first thing was I'm going to talk about Pez. Pez is going to be my first one. We're going to go all about why this football game is the best thing.
To be fair, though, you know,
I'm still gonna, but just not yet.
Next round.
Next round. Next round. That's my knockout blow. That one. We'll get there. I mean, we did a whole podcast on why What Remains of Edith Finch was so effective and so profound. And so I will say that much, that if you want to know more about what we felt, including my feelings on that podcast is there if you search on our feed, or even search on PSU itself, because it's up there as well. But yeah, just I've played a lot of games like that where it's your first person adventures with all of them, where you're going for a story, experiencing it. It just constantly just took it places I just did not expect it to, and both in terms of mechanics and in terms of the story and how it's told. And as we discussed him on that podcast, it stings a little in places, and there were certain scenes that that came at a time where it sort of kicked in on some very raw emotions of not just to me, as I said, but Yeah, and it's why it's a game that, to this day, it's why it came up in my head first when we were talking about this, because it's the first thing I think of in modern times that really had, I mean, that much of an impact. The fact that I can still think about it well beyond playing it because of what it made me think about and what it helped with as well, I think was the main thing. Because there are other games that can sort of jab at you emotionally and like, get a rise out of you. I think of The Walking Dead, the first season of that, which I love it,
Yes.
and yes, the final scenes get me every bloody time, and worse since I mean when I first played through that, I had a 1-year-old son, and just ever since that, it's just it just gets worse every time you play it to have to sort of go through it. But yeah, I mean, when we were talking earlier about the Final Fantasy Crisis Core and character investment and stuff like that, that was a very good case of just having a character just you really wanted everything to go right, and yet you know that it's a world where nothing is going to go right because it's just doomed to fail. And even when that series has gone backwards, forwards, left and right in terms of quality, it's always had that allure that the actual TV series and the comic have kind of lost. I think as time's gone on. I often cite season 2 as well as Walking Dead being a lot better than it gets credit for because of Kenny, who it's the first time again a character where he's such a shitbag in so many ways, but you get to see how he's coming from the right place, and he's doing everything he can, but only with the limited knowledge he has as a person. And he'll make mistakes, he'll fuck up badly, and he'll make angry, horrible insults and gestures, but in what he believes is a well-meaning manner. And it's just like I never thought I'd grow to love a character that was so abhorrent in so many ways, because there's a pity and a sympathy to be had. So I suppose The Walking Dead in general as a series has just on the game front has done that for me. So yeah, sorry, tiny technical issue there. I was talking about Kenny, so you may have missed something that I said there. We'll get through that. Kenny, yes, an abhorrent character in so many ways, but also very sympathetic and probably one of the best realized characters in video games, and deserved a lot more respect for that. I'm surprised he doesn't get more time. I mean, because on the surface level, he is just a massive redneck racist hick, but he's also very much more than that. If you actually get the right places and choose the right things, going from game to game. But yeah, as I said, didn't want to sort of jump in with a second game there, but as we said, we'd already talked about Edith Finch a lot before, so I'll shoot that one in there so I can talk about Pez after we've gone another round. So, Tim, it goes to you. Because obviously you started this and you picked your Wolfenstein, but there's got to be others.
Well, you actually took what remains for me, but
feel free.
I don't know. I know we have coverage on it, and I have my review and then a feature that accompanied it. But the one thing that it really did was like put a weight behind not handling your issues, like you and not just your own issues, but like pertaining to mental health, especially because that was what was going on within the Finch family. Like you can't ignore it and you can't deny it, because that is just perpetuating fate. Basically, you're basically bringing something on yourself and those around you that you don't want on anybody, and that was the fate of the entire family. Like they all had their own little things, and like as somebody who has recently been diagnosed with anxiety and depression, like it's been a long time coming, and like the constant like, well, it's only today and it's only this thing and whatever, and like that's where it starts, and it gets to the point where it might sound like hyperbole if you go into Edith Finch blindly and you experience it with no background in it, you might just say it's hyperbole, but man, like it's such a quick transition between hyperbole and reality when it comes to these things. And it really put a perspective on things that I needed, because there were a lot of I've spent a good part of my life trying to find answers that weren't coming, and like I even dedicated a couple years in college to psychology, and I got no answers. And that game did in an hour and a half what 2 years of psychology couldn't do. Was give me a peace of mind that I needed to keep going, move things forward. So yeah, that. But it's even more like, I know you've talked about the mechanics and things, like there's just so much individual nuance in that game that it's hard to ignore, and it's so short. It's one of those things you can just absorb in one sitting, but it's gonna be with you well after the hour and a half you spend with it. Well after. I think about it often.
It's been, over a year now, and it still just plays on my brain all the time. Yeah. In terms of, because it covers so many bases as a game. It just, not only is it, as you say, it deals with that very effectively, and the personal, almost hereditary trauma, it can be passed down. That's it's not real in terms of any proper medical sense, but it's there because you can't escape it at the same time. It is something that comes out, and as we found out, that's something that the guys behind it had experience in. It made sense. So, but yeah, it works not only as that kind of story. It has good moments as a horror game in tiny bits as well, which was just like masterful. It has a bit of comedy. It just has some outright. I'm trying to think of like the sort of writer it reminds me of, and then I think no, it's not any one. There's several styles. There's several great styles, sort of aped, if you will. And yeah, that's it. That's just the thing. In its short runtime, it does so many things with so little time, and in both, as we said, in terms of how it does its story and how it presents that story. And I think that's just what makes it such a memorable experience. I think yes, it does help if you have something that's happened in your life that connects with things you've seen in it and experienced, but still, I think, despite it, even if not, that game is just clever in so many different and sometimes subtle ways.
Right. But that was shoehorning off of yours. That's right. Another one talk about it. right. Well, you know how it goes around here. Yeah. But one I really wanted to talk about also was Shadow of the Colossus, but I feel like that one has been used often. Like very often, almost to the point of cliche. But so what I'd like to do is talk about The Last Guardian, because there's not as much attention on that. Yeah. And even so, like even though I've been following Team Ico since I first delved into Shadow of the Colossus. Like I had full anticipation, full excitement for The Last Guardian, but I had no idea what I was getting into. No idea, and I had no idea there was going to be a train in the background. But I don't know, man. Like and I'm never one to shy away from admitting this, but I've cried at plenty of games. Metal Gear Solid 3, Walking Dead. My God, Nier. Even like I got emotional at the end of Nier. Even Nier, just on PS3, I got emotional at the end of that one. I know I get it from my dad. I'm just hair trigger. Like you do the right thing, I'm gonna start crying. But man, with The Last Guardian, I've never become a blubbering buffoon in anything outside of The Last Guardian. And that was such a funny thing, actually, because I'm just going crazy, just feeling all these things, and everything's just oozing out of everywhere. And Crystal's across the room going, "Holy shit, what happened?" Like I have my headphones on because I'm just trying to immerse myself in this thing, and after it's all done, I rip my headphones off, and I'm still crying. It was like a half an hour. Like, it wasn't just the momentary thing through the credits, but it was like a half an hour after the game was done. I was just nonstop crazy leaky. And she looked over and like, what is going on? I couldn't even say words. I'm just making noises. It was just insane. There's a lot of conversation about that game pertaining to its technical issues, but when you get to the finer points at the end, like everything that you did with Trico, every stutter, every issue, everything became this sort of like parental endearment. Every single thing.
Very much.
And you finished it. Have you finished it?
Yeah, I finished it.
I didn't even know. You've never said it yet. You've never said anything. Why are you holding out on me?
Sorry, it's like at the end of that year, I got to near the end of the game at the end of that year, and then didn't come back to it for 3 weeks. So it was in that sort of December, January lull when no one's about and nothing's really happening. So I just completely forgot to mention it.
You hold out.
Yeah,
don't do this to me.
Oh come on! I finished Shadow of the Colossus 6-7 times. So bound to finish. Yeah. I was bound to. It's again special on a different level for me. I just think I was so glad to finally see it and play it and experience it, and just like you said, the mechanical side of it being so, and the technical side even of the way Trico acts just does almost feel too deliberate, and because of how it turns out with it. And yeah, you're very right about the parental thing, because it's just. Yeah, it's the same way I find with my kids, where it's like they're frustrated all fucking shit at times, but Christ, you'd step on a landmine for them if you had to. It's just because they do something that you just find remarkable. That's not even that remarkable in context, but yeah, your heart swells and you just want to be like, oh my fucking god, and just say, if you didn't see that, as me just sort of looking to the sky and thumping my fist on my leg there, just that sort of feeling. It's yeah, and the last Guardian is a perfect end to that, loose trilogy, if you will, because it is a very loose trilogy. But and yeah, it was nice to see it. We'll probably never get a game like them again, in the same sense. They are just. It was nice to be able to play. Shadow of the Colossus in its new form, and they did very well with that. But yeah, the Last Guardian does feel like the end of that sort of 15-year journey almost. I'd say so. Yeah,
10 of it being development.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other two games came out in the 4 years. It's like
and Garri, I know you talked about wanting to play it, so I don't know if I want to throw spoilers around too much. I don't know if you have played it.
There's a giant bird dog.
Oh, it's more than that, Garri. Ben, no, Mark, Mames, Mr. Guy.
No, don't spoil it for me.
Okay, because I had something else I wanted to say, but it would be damning.
Too bad. So sad.
Too bad for you. I'm gonna say it. No, I'm not.
No.
But yeah, it all hits that point at the end, and yeah, it's not what I expected, but it hurt a lot more than what I was expecting.
I've heard with that game that you mentioned the parental relationship. I heard also that if you've never been a pet owner, it doesn't hit as hard either. Like that connection to an animal, understanding and having that connection to an animal.
Oh, sure. I can appreciate that for sure.
Yeah. Makes that feeling so much more potent while you're playing it, because it feels like a child, but it also feels like the animal you loved most in your entire life.
Right. Because on top of the investment that the game makes you put into it, you also have that innate sentimentality that you have from your own life stacking on top of every little intricacy that comes into it. And that compound interest really adds up fast. And yeah, I can totally see where if you don't have that connection, to an animal. Like you're gonna be like actually now that you mention it, Mark, I remember talking to two people in a GameStop one night as I was waiting for Monster
bomb
Hunter
to blow up. Oh.
No. Nah, not this time. That's different. That was really bad. But I was talking to two people that were working in the store as I was waiting to pick up Monster Hunter. It was a guy and a girl that were both working at the store, and I ended up talking to her at great length about Shadow of the Colossus, and she said that she only played the first couple bosses, and every time it broke her. Like she's like, holy shit, how can you do this? Like there's I think she said something creature. Like there's no bitch worth this. I think she said. I had a good giggle out of that. Like there's no bitch worth this, and the guy just looked over and said, oh, I just kill him. Like, I don't care. Like, and she's like, what the hell? Hey, what the hell's your problem? And he said, I don't know. I played through the game. I didn't feel a thing. I just did it. Like, it was fun. Like, dude, she said, "Would you not have any empathy for anything?"
Yeah, that's the first signs of serial killers.
I don't know, it's just a game I play. Like, there's a word for that, right? There's a word for that type of behavior.
that was it. That's when you get the laziest sort of criticism you get of Shadow of the Colossus is that it's just a bunch of boss battles with an empty space in between. It's like that really just does it such a disservice, because each battle. You feel the weight of each battle and what it takes. You are having to put effort into just getting and really actually killing these things. It's not as simple as a tap of one button and that's it. You are having to struggle and climb and plan your way up to ultimately. There's often a point made of stabbing them in the head. Which is just very unsettling in itself. Whatever an enemy is, it's. I think it's a very deliberate design decision on that case. Oh boy, what a game! What a game! And
it's interesting the contrast between Monster Hunter, both of those games coming out around the same time, the Shadow of the Colossus remake and Monster Hunter, where both games you're killing giant monsters, but the tone and the story surrounding Shadow of the Colossus just adds so much weight to each kill, while in Monster Hunter you're like, yeah, I did it, I killed this giant animal literally not doing anything wrong. Like, I saw it and I was like, oh, it's time for you to die now because I'm here. And the same, not approach, but the same, you're just killing, they don't need to die technically, but just personally the need to kill each creature on both games, just how drastically it changes the tone.
Yeah. On paper, there are similarities. Like, you go to a boss, you kill the boss, you go back. Yeah. If you're going to be playing the game with a blindfold, you're going to say that those two games are the same thing. Yep. But yeah, the deliberate acts of having to climb everything, and it's not just holding up the joystick. That you have to maintain your position. You have to be able to finagle your way around. You have to be able to know when to attack and how hard to attack. And not only that, but you have to be the one to enact that attack as well. It's not just walking up, dodging, hitting X or hitting square to do a attack and, running away, whatever. It's not just the story that accompanies it. It's also the actions that you have to take. That you have to invest it, and then everything every one of those actions compounds onto the narrative. So you see these things happening, you see the effects doing it, and then and you look back and you go, I did all of this shit to hurt this creature, and this is what's happening. It's not just cynicism anymore. It's more than that. And you're still doing it because one, obviously, if you're really going to break it down, it's the point of the game. But two, you also have this ulterior motive that's going against your better judgment.
Yep.
It's curiosity as well, because it's that the ultimate goal is to kill all these things and you will get a reward. Yeah. And you're like, I want to see how this. I want to know how I get a reward out of this. And ultimately, of course, you find out, exactly what kind of reward you're in for, and it's fitting, I would say, for everything that happens.
Right. And to quote a GameStop employee, "There's no bitch worth this."
There's no bitch worth this. Oh, that's great.
But yeah,
Brilliant. So I guess we're rolling round again then. That's I guess to Garri, I think it was, wasn't it first?
Garri did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. So Garri, if you've got another for the platter.
Yeah. I was gonna talk about The Last of Us, but I'm not going to. Now I've talked a lot about The Last of Us, and there's other games I want to talk about, like Wild Arms, that had a huge impact on me. But what I'm gonna go with, is actually Metal Gear Solid, the first on the PS1.
Oh, do go on.
Tim, are you telling me you like Metal Gear Solid?
I would never say that I like it. It's more, I would call it my amour, mi amour.
Yeah. Even though 3 is my favorite of all of them, the reason I picked the first one to so much more emotional, and it's not the fact that the game did so much well, and in my personal opinion, what makes Metal Gear Solid a masterpiece to this day, in my opinion, is the villains.
Oh, dude, easy. Yeah.
And the fact that each one, you felt bad for them. Like Psycho Mantis, you felt bad about what happened to him. Vulcan Raven, even like, maybe not Decoy Octopus because we didn't really know too much about him, but so many of those characters were so well developed. And when you found out their backstory after you defeated them, you're just like, this fucking sucks. I don't want to kill these guys. And I realized it the most when, in my opinion, one of the greatest narrative moments in that franchise, in my opinion, was the death of Sniper Wolf. And listening to her talk about what happened and the fantastic musical score playing in the background, and you're just like, God damn. And it's the character of Kojima. Like, I know I have my ups and downs with him personally. Well, not personally, I don't know him personally, but a lot of things that he does. What he did in that game and for all the characters there was just magical. And whether it's, he was a lot younger, so he had something to prove or whatever it was, he did an insanely good job at it. And, Gray Fox's, like, almost every scene had such a huge weight behind it. When with the death of Gray Fox, Snake thought he was already dead, seeing his friend alive again. It really took a toll on him in the story. And then, watching him sacrifice himself to help Snake at the end again. And it's, again, one of those moments where you have the launcher to shoot, but you try to, but Snake refuses to do it. And, it's not one of those moments where you have to pull the trigger. It's more like you can't because you have to watch the scene. But the idea of it, of like you want to do the right thing, but the character is not letting you do the right thing. And, him essentially sacrificing himself. And almost every scene in that game throughout just had this huge weight to it. The torture scene with Revolver Ocelot and, his character in general, like his boss battle was awesome. I loved his boss battle. Vulcan Raven talking about, well, he was more of a religious character, but he's pretty much talking about like what Snake's destiny is and being right about it the whole time. Like every character was so well developed. And I'll go back to Sniper Wolf for a second. Like that scene, I watched that scene so many times. I found it online. I kept watching it and watching it. And I felt like that scene was the pinnacle of, storytelling of a character for Kojima. And yeah, it's always stuck with me. And even at the end, with like, you understand in a way Liquid Snake's, anger towards his brother because, you know, he was the favorite essentially in everything, and he's like the lesser one. He got the lesser genes, as he says, and he was pissed off about it and tried to prove to everybody that that shouldn't have been the case. And
The flawed recessive genes.
yeah, you know, and yeah, to me, Metal Gear Solid it did so much, not just for Kojima's career or for Konami as a company, but for the industry in general. Like, that game, in my opinion, single-handedly pushed, you know, full-on voice-acted cutscenes and crazy good cinematics in video games. And he showed that even though you have this limited hardware, with enough time, with enough, you know, resources and obviously skill in your development team, you can make this incredible cinematic experience that you probably would only see in a movie, but you actually get to play it this time. And yeah, Metal Gear Solid for me. Huge impact.
Good shout. Good shout.
Yeah.
That rolls us back to Mark.
Alrighty, so I'm going to actually change it up a little bit. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. I have 3 games that I cannot pick from. So I'm going to list them, and you guys are going to tell me which ones you want to hear, which one you want to hear me talk about, because all 3 of these games have probably impacted me the most since PS3 launched, and that's BioShock, the original,
No.
Kingdom Hearts. What's that? Did you say no? Kingdom Hearts.
No.
Oh, okay. Then Destiny it is.
No.
Oh, dude, I think it should be BioShock. That's for me. But I also know what's coming, so that's me.
Yeah.
So what was the third game? Was it Destiny?
Destiny, yeah.
Really? I
Yep.
love Destiny, but really?
It's my Final Fantasy 14.
You know, I kind of want to hear this.
Yeah, actually, I actually do. I get where the story may go, so I would like to hear it.
Okay, so Destiny it is. So I've never been a big multiplayer guy. Tim could attest to this. We pretty much only played Uncharted 2 and Killzone, and that was it. So I've tried getting into multiplayer games before, and for some reason, I just got interested in Destiny. And I think, honestly, if I remember correctly, it wasn't until I went to a PlayStation experience and got an alpha code. So I got in real early, and it didn't catch me yet. It didn't change me as a gamer. It didn't take up all of my time, which like it does now. And it wasn't until right before the Taken King was about to launch on Destiny 1. And I don't want to say casual. I was slightly above casual player in Destiny up until that point. And then somehow I stumbled on a lore episode on YouTube from a YouTuber, and I started listening to them. And then I started listening to other lore guys, and then I started listening to all of the lore guys in Destiny. And that's whenever I fell down the rabbit hole extremely hard. I started hunting weapons that had I was never going to use. It just had lore purposes to them. And that's whenever I discovered that up until that point, I thought I was story first. Story is the only thing I care about. And to a point, it still is. But I found out that it doesn't have to be stories told to me. It could be just stories of these things. Lore in general is what I fall in love with. And Destiny is definitely not perfect. It definitely has had a very rough time, and it seems like it's repeating going into Destiny 2. But even with all its faults, even with all of its problems, I still found this very close-knit group of friends that I have as a clan, and we have raids every week, and we talk lore every now and then, and I listen to these lore casts. Like the game has extended, not only taken all of my gaming time, it seems, but also outside of gaming. It didn't impact me personally. It didn't impact me much like Ben, you were saying about Final Fantasy 14. Like it hasn't changed me as a gamer. It's changed what I play as a gamer, or as a person. I guess what I meant to say, it's changed me as a gamer, but not as a person. And it's just like if the game doesn't, it's not even like you guys are missing out, you don't know what you're missing out on kind of a thing. It's more or less like I found the thing that has now taken up all of my time and the thing that I will continue to play until they stop making, most likely. So it's more or less I found my game versus you guys are missing out on a game. And it's hard seeing the casual community come out, and I say casual and that's like a dirty word in our industry, but like these fans that are like, oh, that game was good, but it lost me. It didn't have this, it didn't have that. And that's fine. It definitely didn't do what it was supposed to do. But I see like not my clan specifically, but the group of lore guys that I follow, they just get berated on, you like a shitty game, I can't believe you like this crap. But like to us, this is much like how people still playing World of Warcraft. Like that's just their game. It's just going to be their game, and that it upsets me knowing that I won't have that, like what I used to do, like it, where I bought every single game coming out, I played every game coming out. Now it's, if it caught my attention enough to pull me away from Destiny, like God of War, Spider-Man, all these games where it's almost like, oh, I'm going to take a break from Destiny for a month, play this game, and then go back to Destiny. That like this used to be my I'm going to platinum thing. Like, yeah. I don't have anything to play between God of War and Detroit. I'm going to platinum this game now. And Destiny is completely engulfed that. So I can't, talking about games that have changed us, I can't really not talk about Destiny, especially within the past 4 years of it being out and changing what I do.
No, there is something in that, Mark. I got to tell you, like as somebody who played WoW like a religion, like probably more than a religion because I was actually dedicated to it every day.
It was real.
I would say, yeah, like I was. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Neil. I was super invested in World of Warcraft for 5 straight years. And then I even still played it off and on, if we're going to look at it in a relative sense, for 10. I just was insane for that game. And it wasn't just the gameplay, and it wasn't just the loot. It was the camaraderie of your guildmates, your friends, like, you know, people that you became friends with. You know, and it wasn't even a concept of being friends with somebody from a completely different locale until, you know, the internet made it possible. So like it not only came with this new game, this new stuff you could do, but it also came with this new identity and this new ideal and this new standard of socialization. And sure, it's not, you know, like pure socialization, but at the same time, if you go to a, you know, just a general hangout, it's always going to be weather and bullshit anyway. So that's, you know, it's in ways it has more socialization, in ways it doesn't. So it's just a different way of doing it. And it's not just the idea of playing a game anymore. You're immersing yourself in a concept, in a standard, in a totally different life even. And it's not just the game, but the game is that lubricant that gets you into all of it. And there were plenty of years where I played WoW where it wasn't about playing WoW. Like the only reason I went on to do all the grindy bullshit was because I could ignore all the grindy bullshit by talking with people.
And like, it's not even so. Tim and you and I have become friends through the internet. Like we talk outside, we text, we do all that fun stuff. But like Olsen, our clanmate, our clan leader on Destiny, he just had a birthday. I cringe at the fact of like the moment we're done playing something in Destiny, I immediately log out of the party because I get that like weird like, oh, you're a stranger, I don't know what we have in common, and I have social weirdness. But
Yeah.
like, I felt guilty yesterday because he wanted to do something on Destiny, and it was his birthday the day before, and I felt guilty for not like giving him my time in Destiny. And I'm like, this is the weirdest feeling I've ever felt, because I don't consider you, he's a friend, but I don't consider him a friend. Like, he's literally a Destiny player that I play with always, and that's like a strange like break in how social norms usually work. And to Tim, like what you were saying, when you would get on and just grind things, and WoW, even though like it was a grind and you didn't really want to or anything like that, you feel an obligation to keep your character as best as they can be for whenever the clan says, hey, we're doing this thing, are you in? We need you. And you're like, got it, I'm in. Like, my character is ready to do this thing. It's almost like my guardian is friends with his guardian, and I'm the parent of my guardian, and he's the parent of his guardian. And I'm like, oh, I saw you at a store. It was good seeing you. Talk to you later. But like, while our kids are playing in a playground, we sit there at the bench and talk while they're playing. And then once they're done playing, all right, I have to go. Bye.
Oh my god, I love this analogy. Holy shit.
That's how it feels. It's like, oh shit, I forgot my son's friend's dad's birthday. I'm gonna feel really awkward the next time I see him. Like, but you would never text the person, you would never hang out one-on-one with them, and like, it's the strangest feeling, and it's changed how I view multiplayer games. Like, the bar has been raised on what needs to happen for me to be addicted to the game now, because if it's not more addicting than Destiny, it's not getting played outside of the story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That will become the standard. So enjoy enjoying games after that.
Or not enjoying them.
That.
Like, I would have had God of War Platinum by now if it was pre-Destiny Mark. But post-Destiny Mark is like, oh, I'll get to it eventually whenever there's a lull period in Destiny. Like, no. But that's probably the game that has recently influenced me the most.
Yeah. And what you were saying about that, with, you know, how it is the game you play between games almost now, I don't know, which usually takes up more of the time overall. That segueing in is exactly what PES is to me.
Wait, what's an I between?
Well, you said you had nothing else. So.
I want to bring up. I actually want to bring up Fantasy 11. That was the first online game for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it 14 that's connected to 11? Like, it's the same, like...
They're not really connected. They've just got, like, the same character, same sort of races, but the game themselves have no connections.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember playing 11 when I was still at school. I was really socially awkward, even more than now, and it really helped me become... Going from 11 to 14, it's just like, yeah. I remember playing 11. I still remember... I was in quicksand caves with an XP pie as my red mage, as my dog died in the other room.
Oh god!
Oh man!
Because my dog was being put down because he was, ill, and I broke out crying. And so I was still pieing and like, take a break. I'm like, yeah. I was like, took a 5-minute break. Yeah, I still remember stuff like that game helped me through so much while I was still at school, and I don't know. The community again. That's why I loved 11 and why I love 14. I guess why I love 14 so much. It reminds me of the good times I had with 11.
Games help so many things like that. Whenever you're having like a traumatic experience.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't talk much because I played 11 on PC, not PlayStation. So
I was still on PlayStation, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, the PlayStation version never got officially released in England, so.
Oh. I was going to ask if you got the little, like, adapter online pack that you had to snap into the back of the PS2 to make it internet capable.
Yeah, we didn't get that till after the release, so they just didn't bother bringing it over.
That was nice of them.
Yeah. I remember paying 120 quid to import the PC version at a time, which would have been $200.
Oh,
to
like
the
$1 billion.
conversion rate. Well, yeah, you can remember that's like 20 years ago.
Yeah, and not only that, but you said you were in 11th grade.
I can't remember
Or not-
I didn't say I was 11th grade. I was just saying fantasy. I can't remember how old was I. About 14, 13?
Yeah, that's $1 million for
Yeah,
like
Yeah,
that age.
roughly.
yeah,
There would be like saving up 3 years for birthdays.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. 14, 13 at the time. 13, 14 at the time. Yeah. God. Anyway, sorry. You can go on now, Neil.
Oh yeah, now my segue is ruined. That's fine.
Yay!
but to be fair, you segued
But to be fair, though,
before
Fantasy is also
the
a game
detach-
that I go back to when I'm not playing anything else. So go, Neil. Same segue.
Oh, yeah, you mean much like much
Yeah,
like
much
Pez's.
like
So right, I'm just going to collect myself now. Hang on. Collect myself means drink alcohol. And
that sounds about right.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say I don't know meaning anything else.
yeah, good. I'm glad we're on the same page for that. Anyway, Pez. Yeah, remarkable. Much like Ben, we sort of dissuaded Ben from talking about Final Fantasy too much because he has other outlets. I don't tend to talk about Pez that much, despite the fact that it's probably easy to be mentioned every week if I could, because I play it every week and have done since 2001, I think it was, when I first played the demo for the first Pez, the proper. And before then, sports games were, they were. It's like, oh look, you can be your favorite teams or teams that kind of look like your favorite teams and pace them off against Europe. But yeah, they didn't really represent the sport they were very well, I found. Not just football. I mean, I found that with Madden. I found that with Mario Lemieux's hockey. I found that with European club soccer. There's all sorts of shit that was at best okay, but never really. I mean, I remember a football game that was like top down that I thought it could have been rugby for how accurate it was at being football. I think it was Italia 90. Yeah. But Pez came along and it just had the right feel. First time it actually felt like the sport. Like, if you've played a sport before and you love it and you watch it and all that, it's like at that point I wasn't that infused with football. I sort of fell out of love with it a bit, but I like playing sports games because it was different enough. This just changed that completely. I was well back into football because of Pez, because it just instilled all that joy and emotion you could get from watching and playing football yourself in the same sense, because it felt so, I hate to use this word when describing any game, but organic, yeah? In that...
There was no GMOs in this game.
All the sweet corn was real.
I wasn't ready for that. Oh god. Okay.
But yeah, and this is it. For all the years I've been playing it, it's never lost that even this year, where like I'll go into a season and be struggling for a few games. I love that you can still struggle. You play a game and you've been, obviously it changes from year to year slightly, but you can play a game and still have it challenge you just that bit every year and still have to fight against it, because then you keep that little hook going in your head with like, I can fight my way through this, and it's still the most satisfying thing to just build up a bunch of wins in a row in Master League and just come from struggling mid-table to just going on a title hunt, right to the end and taking it to the last day and literally winning the title on goal difference and stuff like that. It's just the best proper sports feeling. FIFA has not even come close, no matter how pretty it ends up looking, how many licenses they throw at it. Pez remains, Konami may do a lot of things wrong, but the one thing they seem to stick by is Pez, and for the right reasons. It is just superb. And I think it all stems from the fact that because they've always been having to sort of pick and choose what licenses they can use for teams because of EA, is that they have to concentrate on how it plays first and foremost above all else, because otherwise this plays just like FIFA, but it doesn't have the licenses. You're not really going to get the same appeal. And FIFA, most of FIFA's improvements over the years are there only because PES exists. Otherwise, as we've discussed on this before, or Tim has, you see with a lot of EA's the games in sports where they're not challenged, they just go into holding
challenged,
patterns.
but
Yeah,
By themselves. They challenge themselves.
they themselves are challenged.
Like, man, 13 was great. Why can't we get back to it? Now, being ignorant to the whole PES and soccer football scene, with PES, is it like MLB The Show where you can create a character and bring that character from game to game to game to game now, or is it?
I mean, there is a mode for that too. You can make a character and become a legend. It's called basically, where you create a character. You view it. There's a football game many years ago called Libero Grande, where you basically played in a third-person view as your own footballer on the pitch. So you view it just behind your character, like most third-person games, and that's what that mode is like. You can play it in normal sort of like TV mode if you want, but you lose a lot of what's going on, and the cursors tell you, roughly what's going on around you. But yeah, that's still fun, and you can take that character online. You can take that character. You can, if you doing Master League, where you're doing which is you running a club, playing as a club, sorting transfers, etc. But you could buy that player if you want, because but obviously not worth it unless you've built them up half decent because they start low at that point. I mean, Christ, you can do 3-on-3 co-op games on there, but it's just basically where you each take a section of the team and you handle it like that, and it's unbelievably satisfying like that. The two things I used to love it as a competitive game, PES, but that was before the dawn of the internet being the big thing, because you play it with friends, and I have all these friends that they play FIFA almost exclusively. They had no idea about PES, and getting to sort of turn people over to PES all the time, much like you were saying what you did with the PlayStation Freeze Mark. It's like it was so satisfying to see people get it and see the thrill of it and just the excitement it brought when we were playing. It was like any great multiplayer of the yesteryear. It was just great to see the arguments and the shocks that could come off. Like, people could come in and play a certain way. They could play like in real football. Like tonight, they just had Denmark can play like defensive as fuck and still do well for a bit. People would come in having never played a game of it and do that, and they could hold their own for a bit against someone who was really good at it, and it created this sort of great dynamic. Unfortunately, unlike your PlayStation story, people eventually just went back to FIFA because licenses, and that's the problem. The greatest thing that Konami do allow with this series is that there's an option file which it has a great community for that make leagues and teams and kits and player faces and stuff. So you can not only can you make the game as license heavy as FIFA with this additional stuff that you can download, you can update kits and stuff and faces and haircuts more than beyond what FIFA will have for any given year. And it's fantastic. Then Konami still implement that as an option in their game, with a sort of holding their hands up and going, look, if you're getting shit legally for this, it's not our problem, sort of thing.
We just gave you the.
But they allow it.
Yeah.
It's like, but for all the stories you hear about Konami and how much how bastardry they could be, they recognise what that game needs to survive, and they let it, and it makes me laugh year on year that EA will try everything to undermine what Konami are doing with PES, despite the fact that FIFA outsells it ridiculously at this point. And like this year, where they obviously headhunted certain licenses that Konami had exclusively for many years, and they've basically gone into those people and undermined Konami and sort of gone, well, if you don't do this deal with us, we'll have to take this away and that way, and basically screwed the licenses away, and which seems silly, really, when you're outselling your competition that much. You want to kill your only competition, the only reason your series will ever improve, because you know there's something out there doing it better in terms of pure gameplay.
That's why Madden is failing, and also I personally feel why. Now, granted, the other one sucks, but 2K, NBA 2K, why they're continually improving is because the crappy NBA Live.
Yeah, because EA don't learn, and they either win by getting all the licenses, and clearly with the NBA they couldn't do that.
Yeah, 2K is too big.
Yeah, that's it. But this is it, because football is such a fucking weird thing, and they let licenses have to be exclusive for some reason. It means that FIFA will hold that, and it'll only get harder and harder for any other team to compete, because money is getting higher and higher in football now, and EA have that money to pay for those licenses, and it will get harder for that to happen for Konami. And one day it will come to a point where they go, we can't really do this anymore, like that. And I hope that day doesn't come for many years yet, because as I said, that game is a game. It's comfort food in gaming form. Like this week, even with games to review, even with new games to play, I've probably played more PES than anything else. and it's so, because what you'll do is I'll be playing Master League for season after season after season, and I'll play a couple of games saying, I'm just going to play a couple of games, and you'll get invested in the season again, and it's just in stuff happening in that season, and getting these players, and it's like, oh yeah, I want to get this guy. And it just, it happens all over again. It's like a softly abusive relationship. You've got better things you could be doing, but there's definitely something about it. That glint in its eye, you just can't keep away, it seems. But there you go. That's the most I will ever talk about PES on this entire podcast ever, and until the day I leave, and then that
whole episode.
The whole episode. Well, half on that, half on XCOM, and that'll be it. And great, all throughout. So, who's next? Tim,
I believe.
Neil, I would like to proclaim something before I go on. I have some people at work who have been helping me, and I'm getting invested in the World Cup. And soccer is something that I've been knocking at the door at, but I've never had. And I'm kind of a dumb piece of shit like this, but nobody's ever opened the door for me. I haven't had anybody there to help perpetuate my interest. When it comes to sports, I generally can't do it on my own. And with American football being the only exception, I can't get into any other sport even without anybody else there to carry me with them, because it's almost a vicarious experience for me. Anyway, segue aside, I'm finally getting into the World Cup, and I'm getting attached to teams and the circumstances and things, and finally getting around some of the rules and the rubrics of the game. And I know I've talked about it in years past, but to hold me accountable, I want to get into PES this year. I really want to get into PES this year.
I think 2019 will be your best one. Do you have a PS4 Pro?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then this will be the best year, because it'll actually be designed for it this time. The lighting this year, Kojima left one great thing, and it was that Fox engine.
The Fox engine.
It powers PES, so it's that's the legacy of that, unfortunately. But oh boy, it does it justice. Yeah,
I'm really excited for it. I'm hoping that we get just a mountain of codes, honestly.
Just so you know, that analogy that you use, that you're waiting for somebody to open the door for you, I just imagine you standing outside of a building called soccer. And you're just looking around at everybody, can you open the door for me? Hey, no, okay, not you, no. And you're just doing that what's his name, John Travolta confused thing from, it's
I'm a meme.
Yeah, just looking back and forth. That's all I was imagining through that whole thing.
I'm a living, breathing meme. My life reached its peak. I guess I'm done, guys.
Before you talk about
Yeah. I just realised we've been going for quite some time. So maybe we'll just sort of speed up this end process. I know we could talk about some games, but if there's anything quickly you'd like to mention that you didn't get to yet, Tim.
I know. I think I'd just like to mention Edith Finch. Oh my God, I already did that again. I'd like to mention Edith Finch again for another hour. Oh my God, I always forget the first word, but Senua's Sacrifice. Gary, help me out.
Hellblade.
Hellblade, thank you. I always forget it. But yeah, Senua's Sacrifice, like it touched on a lot of like personal things. It touched on like a lot of like very minute things. And it was one of those experiences that I had where it took all these little things, and and on the old time I'm going, oh, okay, this is cool, but what's the point? Where's it going? And it had all of those points like that meet at the end, and it felt like such a pinpoint, profound ending, and it was just so good. Yeah. If you haven't played Hellblade,
I started it, but I never finished it. It just the crime of many a game at the minute.
It's worth the finish. Long and short of it, it's worth the finish.
It's one of those few games that I played where I like after I like was done playing, I put it down. I was like, oh crap, I think I'm schizophrenic, or I think I'm crazy, or like you connect so well to her that like instead of you being like, oh, I empathize with you, you're more like me than I thought you were. It's more like what I was doing was like, oh man, I'm more like you than I thought I was. Like, and like started like reevaluating my whole life. But
yeah,
the game's good. I like the game a lot.
Yeah.
Just, I'll mention it on a side note just because I'm reading it at the minute, but there's a horror book by Paul Tremblay called A Head Full of Ghosts, which deals with like partly schizophrenia, partly like possession, if you will. It's fascinating in what it does, I have to say. It's like, I would recommend that from what I've heard so far. It's deeply compelling in what it does. And when you mentioned that, it reminded me of it a lot in terms of how it was stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But I think the only other game I'd want to mention is Valhalla. And I'm going to save a lot of conversation for when it comes out on PS4 because I'm going to go ham sandwich on it.
Yeah.
But
I really want to play it.
Dude. Man, fucking A. That was a profound game that came out of nowhere, and I can't wait to have it on a platform where everybody's going to want to play it. And I can't wait to just pimp the shit out of it. But I'm going to save it for then. So if you have a Vita, get it right now because it's out there now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't have one of those anymore.
You bastard.
I have two of them. I can.
Look,
I was gonna say I would give you one, but I can't. I won't part with them.
That's fine. It's fine. The Switch is my new Vita now, so much so that I bought Lumines twice this week, and
oh my god!
Because God, now when you talk about profound games, that's
oh my god! This podcast took a turn.
No, sorry. As puzzle games go, just an aside, that's just a fucking beautiful puzzle game, and it still stands the test of time. I just remember loving the absolute shit out of it. It was my favorite thing on PSP for a long time, and just yeah.
It was also great on PSP because it hacked it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else got anything they'd like to throw into the pot and to make a stew of emotion?
Not me. I gave the last three games that have influenced me out of the ones you guys chose from. So at least everybody knows that Kingdom Hearts and BioShock are huge influences on me as well.
Just an aside though, I know you were saying BioShock, and I always hear this, why it's so impactful to people. Sadly, I didn't play it till after I played the other two games. So mainly because that was what it was like back then. It was a case of, it came out on Xbox first. Well, I guess I'll be fucking that off forever. That was my general feeling, and I didn't play BioShock properly till the remastered collection, in fact, I think. But I enjoyed it. But obviously, it was dated slightly, and I still preferred 2. And what did you think of Infinite, though, as someone who obviously really got something out of the first game?
So for me, Infinite was story-wise, gameplay-wise, everything-wise better. But for me, I fell in love with Rapture. So it being in Colombia was just too much for me to fully fall in love with. It's the Rapture that I already fell in love with.
Yeah, I can understand that. It is a really cool place. Just think, and the best thing about it was because I played the collection, and I played that first. When I went back to Infinite in that collection, I played the DLC for the first time.
Oh, Buried at Sea is some of the best DLC ever.
Yeah, I'm glad that I got to play BioShock before playing that DLC because my God, yeah, it's wonderful stuff. Yep. I just love the crossover of it all and how everything ties together so nicely. It's great.
Yes.
Beautiful. Man, when I went to Paris this week, first thing I thought of was the end of that DLC. Just like,
yeah, whenever she goes to Paris.
Yeah, man. Anyone else got anything to add to the pod? I'm going to take it as a no. Or it's some game that we just can't put into words. I'd imagine that'd be the case. So yeah, that was we are on a very long one, but I think we had a good discussion about things. So I think a long podcast is fine when you've got lots to discuss. Some of my favorite podcasts was go for like 3 hours and they're just talking about 2 films or something. It's if you've got something good to talk about, it's all fine. All fine. We need to get Predictions League out of the way because we did that last week, and God, it seems like forever ago. What did we do last week? It was only 3 of us. It was only me, Ben, and Gary. We did the Crew 2 and the Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit. Crew 2, Electric Boogaloo, got 68.
Oh wow.
Gary went with 70, so he was close. I went with 74. I was not close. Ben, however, said 68. Ben.
Oh man, I thought he was gonna be like the obligatory choice. Never mind.
So you got 2 points, Ben. 2 whole points.
Yay!
For that one. Then the Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit was on 76. So Ben, you were a bit more out on this one. You said 85. I said 79. There was only 3 points out. But Gary, you were only 2 points out on 74. So you got the point for that one.
Woohoo!
That means
you know, Ben, I miss it when you randomly, did the number generator and scored everything above a 98.
I think that was his plan for the whole of last season, is that he did that, knowing that this time he'd just come give his fucking A-game predictions. Because as you're about to find out, he is controlling everything at the minute. Because as we stand, Chris is bottom with 1 point.
That sounds about right.
Always bottom.
Yeah.
Alfonso has 2 points. I have 2.5. Gary has 4.5 now. Tim has 5, and Ben has 8. 8 whole points.
Oh shit! I've lost the lead. Ty.
You're down by a field goal.
Oh no, I'm gonna lose.
Well, Mark, you get to get involved in this and put yourself on the scoreboard potentially this week. Again, we do 2 games at a time, if we can. And this week it is either a remaster and a loose reimagining, if you will. We have Red Faction.
Red Fiction sounds good to me.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds so much like our politics.
Oh, zing! True.
Guerrilla Remastered, and 20XX, which is of course basically Mega Man. So kicking off with Red Faction, I suppose we go to our winners. So we'll go with Gary first with this one. I didn't put your name down, Gary, because you weren't originally going to be on, so I didn't.
Oh, thank
but
you.
You can go first.
Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered. Let's go with 80.
80. Ben, as you were the other champion from last week. 82. I'm going to go with a far less generous 74. Mark?
$1.
Oh my god, this is The Price is Right, you bastard.
Oh, I was confused. I'm going to say 78.
78. And Tim?
Ah, shit. What do you expect from me? 69.
Yeah.
You do realize this is like one of the highest rated PS3 games.
It's fine.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Real talk here, I don't remember a single good Red Faction game, but that's personally speaking.
Boo! I loved the first Red Faction.
I think Battlefield Bad Company 2 was the best Red Faction game, wasn't it?
Oh my god.
To be fair though, I didn't play Red Faction how you're supposed to play it. I would load the game up, put cheats on,
Oh, yeah, those are the best.
and just
That's how
have
you play the
unlimited
game.
rocket ammo, and then dig my way from one area to the other.
That's how I played every Twisted Metal game up until PS3.
That's like the GTA of Red Faction. The Mass Effect.
Left, right, triangle.
Okay, so second game. Sorry, almost lost my voice. Tim, 20XX.
So is it a brand new game or is it?
It's basically a reimagining of Mega Man that isn't Mighty Number 9. So
So good.
Okay,
It's-
I'm gonna say 77.
7, dude.
Dude.
Dude, sorry, I watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure earlier, so it's
Right on.
right on, man. I'm getting music in my ear now. What was that for? Oh, sorry. Metacritic giving me music because fuck
Yeah.
adverts. So Mark, that will make you next.
I'm saying 59.
59, dude.
Yeah.
Always the optimist.
Again,
Right?
you did hear me when I said it isn't Mighty Number 9, right?
Well, it would have been like 10.
Yeah. 2.2.
I don't know. Like the game wasn't as bad as it got made out. I'll say that much. But yeah, I'm going to go with 79. Ben.
66.
Execute order.
Is that because it's coming home, right? Ben?
What?
Is it because it's coming home?
It's coming home. It's coming home.
Coming home. It's coming. Okay.
Mega Man's coming home. Eventually.
It almost feels like we've had to wait. It almost feels like we've had to wait 52 years for a good Mega Man game. That is true.
It's been 84 years.
I'm afraid it's been 9 years. Garri.
82.
82. And there we go. So we'll find out next week how accurate those were, provided people review those games. I know one of them at least will get reviewed. So,
Mega Man.
good on that. Mega Man, yeah, clearly. Just another item to mention that Altered Beast will be 30 next month, and that's a crime that we even remember it, but I have to remember it to tell you that it's a crime in the first place. I'm going to keep remembering that till we get to August, and it's actually 30 at this point because it's just, yeah.
I was having a
can't get
good
my head.
day up until you mentioned that, you know?
Well, in this world where everything is so joyous and happy and everything is right with the world, I felt I had to mention the injustice that is the continued remembrance of Altered Beast. So,
Ew.
just to keep the world in check. Just to keep your world in check. Because look what happens. Look what happens if we don't remember the horrible acts of the past.
You make a really good argument. Holy shit. That's a really good argument.
We're doomed to a man with a werewolf as president or something. I don't know. I might be mixing things.
Still sounds
here.
better than Trump.
A bastard Cheeto.
A cheetah though. So, and there's
On
some hair
the-
on
A Cheeto that doesn't know his dad.
Did you know it's been 23 years since Marco's Magic Football?
That's a lot of years.
I do know that Silent Hill 3 will also be 15 soon. So if you want to the last time
that came out in 1995.
Silent Hill 3 was a good game.
I really want to play The Room.
Don't. That's like the worst Silent Hill.
Dude, I've always wanted to play The Room.
Okay, go
No,
ahead
you
and
talk
have
about
fun.
the movie
Fight
of the
every
game.
enemy that you can't kill.
Oh, hi,
Fucking
Mom.
Tommy Wiseau.
It's mostly because of that room with the big eye in it.
Yeah.
You just like it when
Yeah.
people
I
watch
did
you.
not stare at her. I did
What,
not.
Gary?
You like it when people watch you, don't you?
Gary, who are you talking to?
The guy who likes
Anyway,
it when
guys,
people
we've
stare
got
at
an
you.
anime podcast.
There it is.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, segue-wise, this is a great time to mention that maybe we should move that sort of talk for the anime podcast. Which
Just
is
problematic talk.
sicker. Yeah. The
I don't know
problematic
what
sicker,
you're
which
talking
is
about.
Another podcast we do on this very channel. If you like talk about anime and you like a guy hosting it that doesn't really know as much about it as everyone else, but still hosts it anyway, it's a great podcast full of stuff like this constantly, which is to denote someone slapping a sticker on something and saying, hey, maybe tone that fucking shit down because it's a tiny bit disgusting.
Or
and you should be
slapping
ashamed
someone's
of yourself.
booty.
There it is. It's
Again.
already started. It's leaking over. Get him out of here.
Oh, God.
Again, Gary, fits the remit, you know?
I think Tim should record a video of himself twerking.
I agree. I agree.
That-
Snapchat is a thing. I have your Snapchat.
It'll be
Well-
you'll be witnessing a man breaking his back, but
As long as we get the twerking, that's all that matters.
it's gonna.
I'll Photoshop Bane in to the frame.
Yes. Make sure it's really crude photoshopping because that makes the best memes.
Yeah, it's just gonna be his head and like two drawn hands.
Like
He's
how
gonna
they
look
try
like
to
Rayman.
Photoshop Kazuma Kiryu's face on my picture, those assholes.
Okay, we're gonna have to share that somewhere because it's amazing. It's a work of art. Anyway.
Right, yes. Anyway, done that. We're doing all the shout-out stuff now to end the podcast, so I will say, yes, please go and rate and review us on iTunes if that's a thing you like to do. Even if it's not, just do it. Maybe you'll feel good about it. Like anything in life, try something. You never know. You might like it. And that pretty much... Exactly. It's a premise of the entire Problematic Sticker podcast. You know, it's like, try something once. You may like it. A little bit
Serial
too
killer
much.
is listening to you right now.
Oh,
In the
no,
making.
you just
In the making.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Gary is in the podcast.
You bitch.
Yeah. Hey, Gary, the signs are there. We can't deny it.
Here's your sign.
Why are you guys so mean to me? I do nothing to
It's
you.
funny.
It's just sharks laugh, man. It's just sharks laugh. Yeah, and also, Twitter account is Pod Unchained. Go there for barely anything really, apart from telling you when we've done a podcast. That's about it. And even then, it's probably about a couple of days after we do it. So, I'm a busy man, and I don't always have time to put things out when they're supposed to be out. That's the way of it. Yes, Pez. Yeah. Hey, I got all these new films I could watch. I'm gonna play Pez. That'll do perfectly.
It's like that meme, perfection.
Perfection. I admire its purity. Tim, what shouty outies?
All the everybody's that are listening, thanks for putting up with our shenanigans as always.
Yeah,
It definitely takes a lot, so we appreciate it. Fonzie,
yeah.
where you at? Me love you, long time.
He's at a baby shower. I did air quotes there because
That's a female thing. What is he doing?
Shut up, Gary. It's 2018.
Oh my god.
the guy is willing to cut a man to survive. So I think we can.
He's complicated. He can do whatever he wants. He can cut a man one day and then make ketchup donuts the next.
what?
Yeah, and then attend the baby shower.
Yep.
Afterwards.
He's complicated. Leave him alone.
I don't know.
He's an enigma.
Yes.
So
The Riddler.
the Riddler, yes, he is the Riddler.
Enigma.
In many ways, except I don't think he knows the puzzle he's creating. That might be the.
He's the best Riddler. He doesn't even know the
Yeah.
answers.
Yeah, It's like, even I could contribute to these puzzles. Ah, dear. Right. Okay. Mark, give us your shout-outs, your Twitter, your Twitters and your contact deals. Anything like that. Anyone you want to shout out to. All of that.
You can find me on Twitter at LostHeroes13. No spaces, spelled like the shows. You can also find me literally probably anywhere with that handle. So
Anywhere, everywhere.
yeah, literally.
Even at the mall.
Yes. Honestly, if somebody at the mall would yell Lost Heroes 13, I would immediately turn around and look and say, what, at this point? But yeah, if you want to, I write for a website called Mammoth Gamers. If you want to follow me there, definitely that. And that's pretty much all I have.
Yeah. Well, and now I have to ask you: Did you play the game, the Lost?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
He's that dedicated.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Legit. Cool. Ben
It's gone.
I want to make a shout out to Klaus and I bring up Phoenix Down Radio. A shout out to Von Mel, Kid Girlfriend's favorite stream at twitch.tv/. Shout out to She-Hell's-I-Tang at twitch.tv/She-Hell's-I-Tang. A shout out to everyone who's listening on Twitter. Shout out to Mark. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Ben has the amazing shout outs. Like, he's basically like the end of one of those like Cialis commercials.
Yeah.
It may cause anal leak.
I'm glad you went to anal leakage.
That's the only good side effect.
What?
I can't see how this show lasted more than 2 hours. I really can't. It's just... I suppose that leaves us with Garri, does it not?
Yeah. Shout out to you guys for having me on. Fonzie, I'm gonna hopefully talk to you soon. Chris for not being here, and
You dick. He's helping his wife. Don't be a dick.
that's not how I meant it. Anyway, yeah, you can reach me on Twitter and pretty much anything at Gaglalush. That's GAGLAUSH.
That is good stuff. That concludes us. I forgot myself for a minute there. Oh yes, I'm the one that's supposed to end the show. That is my job as host. Yeah, so we will see you again next week, where we may have a topic. Even if we don't, we'll be here to talk much of the same shit anyway. So it's fine. Yeah, that's what you're here for at this point. I mean, we stopped doing episode numbers for that very reason, so you don't quite realize quite how long we've been persevering with our bullshit. So until next week, and same bat channel, same bullshit. Tatty bye.
Can we talk about porn next week?